Okay, so let's come and look at this main activity.java file. And so just kind of dealing with the handler part. On line 19, I declare the handler as part of like the class, just so then we can use it kind of throughout, you know. And then one thing to kind of know about handlers is that wherever you like build your handler, like instantiate it, that thread is going to be the thread that that handler is attached to and will report back to. And every program has at least one thread, and that's the main UI thread. And when you're building like an application, when you're first doing it, when you have everything like all lined out kind of procedurally, you know, it'll build your whole display and everything. But if you want to update anything on it, you've already gone through that UI thread. So you need a background thread to update, to re-update the user interface thread. And so you can do that with handlers. So when I declare this handler up here in the onCreate, that new handler, that handler is now attached to the user interface thread. So every time I call post on handler, it knows I want to post on the UI thread. And so going into this on start, this is kind of what it's always going to be like. You need a thread that has a runnable, and then you implement the run method, and then in there you can do whatever logic you need to do, and then within there you at some point call handler.post, I guess is the way that Brother Barney uses it more frequently. The other way to use it, there's one way called send message, and you need to you have to have like, you know, like runnable has run, you have to have a handle message for the handler. And so I don't know if there's something different about that, but this seemed a lot easier, and the code like ran a lot more smoothly too. So just forget about messages and only ever use this post method, because this is the best way. And then, yeah, once you're in handler post, just anything that's in here, if we have another runnable run, and this runnable will just post everything up to up on the main UI thread. And so, and then this code, it just changes the background of your Android app every 1.5 seconds.
That's what the color thing is for. It just changes colors.
Yeah, it just changes colors. But do you guys have any questions about threads? And
I do.
Okay. Let's talk about threads.
So, like, can you give me like a base definition of like threads and like how they work? Because I haven't dealt with them at all. So.
Yeah, and so I was wondering like if there's a better example, because like when you're dealing like with client server things, it's almost like you have like a thread that is like built for each client, you know, so the client's like talking to this thread, and it'll just build nice threads for each of them. But like in this case, this is just, there's only two threads here. There's the main UI thread, and then this background process thread. So thread is just like a way. Here, let's read what. I don't want to mess this up. So thread, Android. I looked at this today because, yeah, I was kind of thinking about it too. So a thread is a concurrent unit of execution. It has its own call stack for methods being invoked, their arguments, and local variables. Each application has at least one thread running when it is started, the main thread. The runtime keeps its own threads in the system thread group. Yeah, that's pretty much all they say about
so
threads.
This has one thread still. This one does, because you created one thread, right?
So
For
yeah,
you.
this program has 2 threads.
The foreground and the background.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
you can't update the foreground after you've initially set it up unless you use a background thread.
Okay, so how would you put another thread into this?
So to put
Do
in
you have to do
an
another background and a foreground, or would it all go back to the
so
background?
let's say like really probably you'd have like a different thread type of thing for, and I don't know the best way to do this like object oriented wise, but I think where we're all at, you could have like a different thread for each button click or something.
Okay.
So if you had like a few different buttons on it, like change background or get me the HTML code, like each of those would have its own separate thread process
Okay.
because they're going to go do different things, and the handler's going to want different things from each of those. But
So don't threads, like, I always thought in my mind, I kind of thought that threads were like a way to utilize multi-core processors. Is that true? Is that like, I mean, is that how you use the cores in a processor more efficiently, by running multiple threads that run concurrently? Is that their purpose?
and so I think they solve different purposes. That is one purpose of a thread, is so that you can separate it onto different processors and stuff, and hardware threads to run on multiple cores.
Okay.
But then there's other cases like this where the only way to update the user interface is with a background thread.
Okay.
So it's like right here, we're not trying to like make it run faster by splitting it on multiple cores or anything. It's like we have to have another thread that'll just update the main one. So, and there's probably other instances of wanting to use it as well. I'm still at strongly disagree on threads. So I'm sure once I meet with Brother Barney, I'll probably get a better understanding of it. But
Cool.
yeah, I think they're just sub-process is the wrong word, but yeah, different starting points for things you want to do. But yeah, so he said that he just wanted me to implement this with the handler.post way. And I'll see if he has anything else he wants me to change tomorrow. But I think this is what he was kind of wanting in the end. So
Nice.
I'll let you know if it changes.
Cool. Good.
Any other questions before I stop that recording thing? In fact, did it already stop itself?
Did you even start it?
I don't. That wouldn't be good.